Alright, gentlemen, Vega, sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt you, quite frankly. No more of that nonsense, thank you very much, because it is time for StarCraft 2. Here we go! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this, the Acer Team Story Cup, and this matchup right here between Caronte Esports Club and Mousesports. Opening up and representing for Caronte in the Blue Trunks, playing Protoss to the southeast of Newkirk City. It is Vipro versus his opponents, the one-time foreign hope, looking to re-establish his presence and dominance in Heart of the Swarm. Let's see if he can do it. He is in the red trunks representing Team Mousesports, and he is playing to the southwest as Terran. He is Illusion. Alright, interesting opening right here. I think there's a match that everyone's really waiting for in this, and that's Lucifron versus Mana. Arguably two of the strongest players, if not the strongest players, in the world right now for the foreign scene. Think about it for a second. Like, which Terran is better than Lucifron right now? Who is getting more results in the foreign scene? There isn't one. There really isn't. Like, he is just menacing. He's ridiculous. He is beating Koreans left and right. He's just fantastic. And then Mana, who is just ridiculous. He almost all-killed Axiom. He's incredible. He's really, really cool. And I try to think, which Protoss, which foreign Protoss is better than Mana right now? And I have difficulty coming up with anything. So I think that's going to be a matchup that people are really looking forward to and will most likely happen unless we see some unexpected dominance from either side right now. But Illusion versus Vipro is going to be a good opener. TVP on Newkirk as well, which I do like. TVZ on Newkirk can go on for a while. It tends to be a very grindy matchup with both sides dividing the map in half and just kind of agreeing to mine it out, which is not really all that interesting. TVP a little bit different, a little bit of a more dynamic matchup on this particular map, I feel. We're going to see Illusion. That would be weird. Illusion is going to open up with a Reaper here. He's also walled off against us as well. I think Vipro actually may end up just hanging around here and seeing what's going on. I have noticed, by the way, that for some reason my health bars have re-enabled on Team Color, which is not actually what I intended to do. I will fix that after this match. I don't know what it is. I think region switching actually resets certain options. So because I'm now in Europe, whereas I'm usually on NA or Korea, let's not have any more of that lag, thank you very much. On NA or Korea, I think that's what happens. There must be a separate option set for every region. I'll get that fixed after this game. I'll have to deal with it for the time being, I'm afraid. People don't really like it because it looks pretty bad, and it's actually surprisingly hard to distinguish what's going on, even though it was supposed to make it look better. It doesn't. It just doesn't. Alright. Illusion rocking and rolling over in this general direction. His opponent is already got a Stalker out, so I don't really see this doing too much. Obviously, the Reaper is able to slightly outrun the Stalker, and it's going to get into the mineral line. It's also going to get some scouting information here as well. Some people view the Reaper as an effective scouting tool, and they think, that 50 gas at the start of the game is better than me throwing down a scan or trying to risk getting an SCV in there and just not having it happen. And at the end of the day, the Reaper also always survives in this situation unless you do something suicidal with it. So it's not like he was going to kill anything because there was already a Stalker out. It also punishes greedy players that like to delay the Stalker. So that can work too. He's going to go in again, and he's going to be able to keep doing this, really, until there's at least 2 Stalkers in that Mothership core on the field, because if they are in the right position, they can kill the Reaper before it sees anything important. We're going to see a swap over right here, so the question is there going to be a Widowmine drop? It could very well be. We'll find out momentarily. Hellions coming out initially. Now, there is this Hellion Marine drop that works pretty well. There's also just a little bit of general pressure you can do here. You can build a couple of Hellions for map control, then build some Widowmines and drop with the Widowmines while using the Hellions at the front. That's a bit nightmarish, actually. You drop into the main and then you attack the natural with Hellions, and it's difficult to defend 2 places at once. It's a fairly effective method of doing things. Vipro, surprisingly enough, is actually going to go across the map here with his Mothership core. It's a pretty good map for it because there's all this dead space here. You can escape so easily. You can't really chase the Mothership core down here unless he overcommits with it. So he's going to poke in. He'll probably scout and then just leave immediately. I don't expect him to commit too much because these Marines can easily handle that. Down goes the orbital command, and a swap over once again coming in here. Interestingly enough, we're going to see 4 Hellions, and then he's going to swap over and start producing Marines. So no sign of huge amounts of Widowmines or anything like that. We're going to see an early push coming out here. We'll have a look at the tech, and of course, because there hasn't been a tech lab on those barracks, we're seeing no tech at all coming out here for Illusion. This is an interesting build, because obviously by this point, you'd have usually started at least Stim or Combat Shield, and right now Illusion's just powering units, and he's not taking a gas-heavy approach. He's only just taken his second gas now. His starport doesn't actually have a reactor on it or anything along those lines. So this, to me, is an interesting little maneuver. And he's also, looks like he's going to be going into tanks after this. Either that or he's going to be researching drilling claws or something interesting like that. So we will see. He is putting barracks down, so playing Marine tank would be an odd choice, of course, against Protoss, but it's not entirely out of the ordinary. Illusion now making a move, and this area not particularly well defended, but that sentry placement was absolutely phenomenal. The Photon Overcharge has now been used. There isn't a second one available here, and Vipro looking to shut down this aggression pretty hard. Militia Corps taking a lot of fire. Vipro loses that one, and Illusion then evacuates. There was some beauty in that. I mean, did you see how cool that was? The sentry lays down its force field. A microsecond later, he evacuates and hops over it. The force field placement here by Vipro was absolutely phenomenal. He blocked off any real access to that mineral line, and the Photon Overcharge deflected that quite nicely. The amount of damage done by that drop was basically zero, but it's going to come in again. Illusion's going to boost forward, and it looks like Vipro is actually overcommitted to the defense at the front here. The Stalkers are a little bit out of position, but they should be able to handle this without too much of a problem. This Medevac could actually die here. Interception comes in. Nicely played. Vipro smashes that completely. That was some beautiful drop defense there. I don't know if I rate that aggression. I mean, it's a kind of weird aggressive idea as well, because you're going in there without stim, without combat shield. He's going to have stim, but it's going to be finished by about 10 minutes in, which is really quite late. And that means that versus gateway units without stim and with only one medevac, you're not going to do too much. But it was an attempt to hit the front and then probably drop the main, as I was mentioning earlier, with a different composition to what I expected to come out of Illusion. But it could have worked. But Vipro defended that very, very well. So let's see what Vipro is going to do tech-wise, because obviously we're seeing a pretty standard Marine Marauder medevac composition here, and we are not seeing tanks. What we actually saw was Illusion used the factory to build a tech lab so that he could then swap his barracks onto it, which is a nice little move too. Double drop coming in right here. Vipro is going to see this with this observer, I think, so he's going to get a decent amount of warning. In the meantime, another observer actually heads into the natural to scout here. It's going to be Colossus Tech from Vipro, but he has also gone Twilight Council. I believe he got Double Forge, but he's not actually researching 2-2 yet. I believe that's because he's investing a lot in Colossus and Colossus Tech, so he is delaying his 2-2 for that. And in comes the drop. The defense is in position already. Vipro has what he needs to deal with this without too much of a problem. I expect Illusion to simply evacuate this drop very, very quickly. It's going to stim in there. One Colossi coming in. It's a little bit out of position there, but the force fields will go down, and they work fairly well. I mean, not amazing, but they do force the evacuation, so that's all that really matters. Here comes a tiny, like the tiniest run-by of all time. 2 Marauders and a Marine. God, it's like Justin Bieber and his 2 bodyguards dashing in right here, making a move on that Colossus, and Fanboy Colossus drives them away. Bieber dies, the bodyguards go home in disgrace, but are celebrated as heroes by the internet because the internet is a malevolent and evil place. One way or the other, Illusion is so far not able to do any real damage, and things are very, very equal between these two because no workers are being killed. They're both sitting comfortably on 2 bases. A third CC is coming down here for Illusion. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Another attempted drop is easily deflected. At the end of the day, the observer coverage here by Vipro is good, and I like what he's doing here. You don't really see that many Protoss building 3 observers in this matchup. Usually they'll go for a maximum of 2. Some of them maybe believe that it's not really worth it, but the thing about these observers is he's using them like overlords. He's using them to spot incoming drops, and that is so valuable. Think about the amount of gas that's invested in an observer, and then think about what you can do when you don't lose all your probes to horrible drops. So I'm fairly happy with that. It's pretty good. That's a pretty good thing. Alright, scouting coming in right here with the hallucinated Phoenix. Looks to see if there's a third base down. There isn't yet. No proxy pylons in the map here for Vipro either, so he's playing hyper defensively right now, looking to build up that big Colossus ball. And he's going to have this big upgrade advantage as well. A lot of aggression early on in the game from Illusion, and that later tech meant that he is way behind in terms of his upgrades. He's going to be on 1-1, whereas 2-2 is about to finish for the Protoss player. And this gives a great opportunity for Vipro to build up a big ball and just attack the front. And in theory, if he gets a good engagement, he should be able to win that because of his superior upgrades. Viking count is currently at 4, Colossus count at 2. Pretty decent. Oh, nice scan there. Illusion catches that one. The observer just a little bit too curious, I feel. Curiosity did kill the cat in this regard. Dark Shrine on the way up as well, so Vipro will be looking for though. Well, I mean, there's two things he could do. He could go Archons with it, or he could use it for those nasty run-bys. Big Escort coming along, actually, for this big drop, and that's actually not going to get spotted until it hits the base. Oh, yes, it is! The hallucinated Phoenix comes out. Vipro's use of sentries in this game has been absolutely fantastic. I am so impressed with him right now. Illusion now pushing forward with a fairly Marauder-heavy composition. I say fairly Marauder-heavy, it's very Marauder-heavy. Really sensible, although it's a Zealot-heavy comp here from Vipro, and Zealot Legs isn't done yet. If it does get... It's not going to be done before this hits. That's actually big. Vipro's going to be struggling to defend against this without Zealot Leg charge. In comes the engagement already. The Zealot's not really able to get in there. Concussive missile kiting is happening. One Colossus goes down. I have a feeling that the Viking count might not have been high enough for that engagement. Another Colossus taking fire here, but it is on 2-2 with shields, and there are no upgrades for the Vikings, so they're kind of tickling a little bit here, and Vipro defends that very nicely. Illusion still with a supply advantage here. Vipro, however, is making his way up to 3-3, whereas +2 is about halfway done here. Dark Templar run-bys are going to start to happen as well, and that's going to make things really interesting. I'm intrigued to see if he can make anything out of that. There is a proxy pylon right here, which means the natural is under threat, and there are no missile turrets, which, again, we're seeing that very aggressive and very cutting corners style here from the Terran player. That can get you bitten in the ass if you're not careful. Entire army moves over to deflect that. There is a Mothership Core on the field that could be used for defense here, and here comes that Dark Templar run by, and it has driven everybody off the main mineral line, which is already good. I assume he's going to hit the natural as well here. He's actually killing reinforcements as they come out, which is pretty smart. Drop comes down, a couple of Zealots moved in, not quite enough Zealots to actually deflect this. A second warp-in should be able to deal with it. Vipro is rolling across the map as his DTs are doing as much damage as they can, softening up his opponent's force while his big army comes in. Vipro needs to be careful not to engage without his Colossus here. That would not be a good idea at all. Also mixing DTs into his composition, a very old Hazuab style. So I'm interested to see if that works out. Okay, we're just going to leave the Marauders alive, I guess. Okay, a couple more swipes would have taken those down. Trying to deal with those Vikings who are actually picking off the Colossi at the back. And this one is very, very low on health here. A drop hits the third base. Isn't really going to kill it yet. There's not a lot of attention being put in there. Another DT hits there as well. And now the big push comes in from Vipro. Things are looking pretty equal, but this lack of Colossus, I think, is what's really going to hurt him. He has no Colossus anymore. He's now morphing to Archons to go with the Zealot Archon composition, but he doesn't have enough of them to really make a huge amount of difference in this fight. Vipro is spreading out to prepare for a potential counter-offensive, but Illusion is so happy just sitting there. How much economic damage was done? Actually, not a lot. Vipro used those DTs to hit the reinforcements, which I do like, and that evened up the supply count quite nicely, but he didn't really hit the economy of his opponent all that hard. He is denying a fourth base here, and in comes the engagement. A good spread already, and the big Zealot charge comes in all the way around, but that lack of AoE is going to hurt him so much here. Sentry force field placement was not as... that actually worked way against him. Look at that. He tried to wall off and split this force in half so his Zealots could get to grips with Illusion, but it didn't work at all. He actually created a choke point where the Zealots could engage. That's not too good at all. Vipro looking for another charge here, and he goes through with the Archons. There's a lot of Zealots, and they're heavily upgraded. These are 3-3 versus 2-1, which is a huge deal, and it looks like this is going to make the difference. There's enough Archons in the mix now. 3-3 Zealots just do not die to that composition of GG. Vipro with the upgrade-heavy approach, playing hyper defensively, is able to best Illusion in this best of 9 series. Really nice one on the board here for Kurante. Great performance from Vipro, and let's see who Mousesports decides to send up next. Illusion is definitely one of their stronger Terrans, but they do still have Hero Marine. They could go for a PvP with Mana. Admittedly, I wouldn't. That's like the last matchup that I'd say, oh, we should send out Mana now for that. They probably want to keep Mana back a little bit further than that. They could send Hazuabs out for that. That's a possibility. We will find out very shortly, folks. You're watching the Acer Team Story Cup. Myself, Total Biscuit Casting, and we'll be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the next game? I certainly am, so we're going to go into it. That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Let's make that happen. Here we go! It's the Hope of Mousesports, in the form of Mousesports Hope. He is in the red trunks. He is playing Zerg to the southwest of Daybreak versus his opponent, who just took out Illusion, is looking to munch on a Zerg next. It is Kurante's Vipro. He is in the blue trunks playing Protoss to the northeast. Alright, Vipro, are you planning on doing a fast expansion? Yes, he is. He's doing a pylon right here. So the question is, what variant does he do? Does he do a Forge before Nexus? Does he do a Nexus before Forge? Or does he do the fabled Gateway Expander Your Natural, which makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. But you never know. It can happen. Vipro's a tricksy one. Who knows? Hope, on the other hand, I would expect to go... I mean, he could go for the pool before the hatchery. That was a thing that was more common previously on smaller maps, because, like, oh, if I get my thing blocked and then I get rushed, it's all horrible. But on a map like Daybreak, you can still go hatchery before pool, even against Protoss. There is, of course, the risk of cannons that you have to worry about, but it seems like Protoss are doing that less and less. So it's... You know, it's not something you necessarily have to consider. We'll be seeing very shortly if we're going to see a Forge from Vipro before we see that. And it's going to be pool right here for Hope. Pool on 15 supply before his hatchery. I don't hate that. As I say, it's totally fine. Both builds only have minor, very minor differences in their openings, so not really a big deal. And we will find out in a second. Is it going to be... Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Nexus before Forge. He's going down there. You look at the timings of it. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, this works. You might think, oh, but can he defend against the Lings that are coming at him? Yeah, he totally can. It's actually not a big deal at all. Nice grab by Hope. Vipro is highly upset. His probe will not be stopping that hatchery going down at all. So that's a nice little win there for Hope. If he'd had that delayed, that would have sucked, but it didn't happen. So Forge now goes down for Vipro. You can definitely get the cannon and the Forge up on a map of this size early enough, or you can do an emergency wall off. Both of those things work, and as a result, Zerg don't tend to go for, like, the 6-sling. Oh, I wish I could get into his base approach. Even if one cannon's down, that means about 4 of your Zerglings die before they even get into the base, so it's kind of pointless, and most Zerg players would prefer to get those extra drones out at this stage of the game. So you're going to get 2 Lings, and then you're going to see a Queen. You're going to see a bunch of drones coming out here. So just 2 Lings to kind of control the map. And this particular setup right here with the Forge Fast expansion usually means that the first 6 or 7 minutes of the game are pretty passive. There is, of course, the possibility for Vipro to go Stargate, but it would be a little bit late to do that since he has no gas. It's not entirely outside the realms of possibility. It's considering the power of the Oracle, we have been seeing more players go Stargate instead of this usual +1 on the Forge. The thing about it is that otherwise, why do you build the Forge, you know? If you're not going to start building upgrades, that's kind of part of the advantage of the opener thrown away for you there. So some people just turn around and say, well, no, we'll just stick with the regular, stick with what works, which is usually that +1, and once the +1 completes, you will then try and move out and apply some aggression. You usually send Zealots towards the 3rd base, and then it's really up to the Zerg player to see if you can actually defend it. Most of these matches play out in a fairly similar fashion, but of course, the effectiveness of each stage of it is vitally important. This Ling has no intention of going anywhere near that cannon, because it will die almost immediately, so there's not really any point in doing that. He's not going to learn anything. He knows everything he needs to from the start here, and now, once this Cybercore completes, we will see whether or not Vipro actually wants to go Stargate. You can do it, because the Stargate is so delayed because of the lack of a Cybercore going down a lot later than it would in a regular build, so you will have the gas by that point to build it. Admittedly, since there's no Stalker out yet for Vipro, you can't get rid of this Overlord yet, so we're going to see a +1 attack instead. We may see a Stargate later on, but there's a possibility. 3rd gas actually being taken here by Vipro, but if we're to look at his standard builds, then he might just go for this big mid-game Colossus push, which seems to work pretty well. Hope is taking 4 gas. No, he's not. He's actually taking 2. So I would expect to see Roaches for a while, simply because on 2 gas, there's really not a lot else you can do. If you want to play Hydra heavy, you need at least 3, really, to do it effectively. We might see 2 more gas go down, and I might be completely wrong, but speed Roaches wouldn't be the worst idea in the world here. They're pretty good against TOS. Here comes a scout, a little Zealot coming out right here, and he will engage against the Queen. Of course, he will die. The Mothership Core is coming in to support it, though, so actually, you never know. This could actually do a little bit with the Mothership Core to back up, but Vipro doesn't seem all that interested in engaging. He just wanted to know what was going on. Lair's coming down now, and the 3rd gas and 4th gas still haven't been taken, so it's interesting that we're not seeing a Roach Warren yet from Hope. I guess it's simply because, oh, well, what's the point? You know, I don't need a Roach Warren because you're not attacking me. I know that I'm safe here, at least until that +1 completes, but +1 is fairly close to doing so. 2 more gas now being taken, and they're going to be taken here. This is a bit late to take the gas, in my opinion, if you were looking to go Mutalisk, but you never know. I may be completely wrong on my timings there. A couple of Lings making their way in. Speed is super late, so this is actually going to accomplish absolutely nothing. I'm really not sure why Hope's actually doing it. I mean, you could just have gone in there with a couple of Lings instead of sending so many, but hey, whatever. Maybe he's just looking for an opening, maybe trying to catch a unit off guard as it pushed out, maybe. Twilight Council coming down here for Vipro. Vipro already building Immortals here. Hope going up to a really high amount of drones and now adding his Evo Chamber. It's pretty late for it. Hydra's coming down. Okay. Yeah, with the 4 gas, that makes sense. It wouldn't have made too much sense to go Spire at that stage with the gases being so late, because even if you had Spire, what are you going to do with it? It's like, alright, I'm going to build 5 Mutalisks. It's like, well, that's annoying, but I'm not really too worried about that. That's not a big deal. So, Hydralisk heavy. The question is, does he try and go Pure Hydra? Pure Hydra actually works until Colossus come out, and then it doesn't work. Unless you're cats. If you're cats, it works, but it shouldn't. Just pointing that out. Hydra speed on the way, so he is going to get aggressive with them immediately. You usually grab the speed instead of the range as your first upgrade if you want to be aggressive with your Hydralisks. Third Nexus now coming down here, so that is going to eventually pressure Hope into actually taking a 4th base. Lots of Hydras coming out, and no sign of a Robo either, so there it is. It's coming down right now. Twilight Council is down to allow for these upgrades. Admittedly, he's only doing single forge this time around instead of his double forge last time. Hallucinated Phoenix comes in, spots the Hydra Den, spots the fact that it's upgrading, and also spots the Roach Warren coming down. So that's pretty much ideal for him. Now, the cool thing about this is, well, you think, well, why is it that Zerg stopped doing Roach Hydra? Well, the reason they stopped doing Roach Hydra is because it was too easy to kill with Immortal Sentry Colossus. Very, very easy, and Hydras were bad. Now Hydras are less bad. And you might think, still, Colossus kill them really fast, right? Yes, they do. But the thing is that if you can force your opponent down a Colossus tech path... Oh, wow, we almost got out of that. That was actually really bad force field from Vipro. He wasted way too many there. Obviously, he stopped the initial attack on his 3rd, but he should have been able to do that with 3 or 4 force fields, not 6. He did mess that up. The Hydras are almost good out of there. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make is, if you force the Protoss down a pathway as to build a lot of Colossus, and then you're able to take up to Vipers, you are in a wonderful position. Because you've got a lot of Hydras and Vipers, Colossus are just useless, which is absolutely wonderful. So, that's what you want to try and do there. We'll see if he's able to do that. A great little Ling run by here by Hope, and he's actually going all the way into the main with it as well. Lots of Hydras at the front. These Lings are going to go and say hello to the mineral line. Or maybe not. They're actually going to focus the gateway for no apparent reason, but hey, you know, Zerglings are difficult to control. They're very feral creatures. They don't necessarily do as they're told. Hope now looking to hit the 3rd, and this is where this big engagement's going to come down. The Photon Overcharge is in play right here. The force fields come down, and they're pretty good as well, since Hydra range hasn't actually finished. And that's actually why this attack was really weird, because he went in about 10 seconds before Hydra's range finished, which is really weird. You'd think that you would just kind of hold back and say, yeah, okay, I'm going to wait for Hydra range, and maybe I'll try and attack from there, and then the force fields are less useful. But it didn't happen. Currently, this Hydra Force is still pretty effective because there's only 1 Colossus out, and it doesn't have extended thermal lance, so for the next 2 minutes, this Roach Hydra Force should be pretty good. The question is, can it actually do anything? These sentries are fairly low on energy. That was a baited force field right there. Gonna try to take the Forge down, which is nice. Wasn't researching anything, but it's good anyway. And things are getting a little bit messy right here for both players, and Vipro has so few units here. If he holds onto this will be amazing. Look at the difference between supply, 184 to 107. He's keeping that Colossus alive, and it's doing work right now, but the Hydra's starting to get in range, and down goes the Colossus, and this push, this timing, I think, is hit just when it needs to. There's a big Roach swell coming in right now as well, and if this second wave hits before the extended thermal lance finishes, then I think Vipro is probably going to die horribly. We will see if he's able to hold on. He's doing a pretty good job of it with minimal units. The actual losses are amazing. I mean, look at the difference. The efficiency of Vipro is phenomenal here, but he is playing with so few units right now, trying to deal with this. Zealot's now getting into range of the Hydralisk. There's not really enough damage there, though. Down goes the Immortal. It deals with the Roaches. This big Roach push with no Immortals, no Blink. Oh, actually, Stalkers do have Blink. Never mind. And very few Colossus. There's actually no Colossus on the field right now whatsoever. Could just kill Vipro outright. He's going for it. A couple of Zealots just blown away. They are nothing but dust to the wind right now as the Cybercore gets focused down as well. 95 supplied, 191. Hope with a huge Roach attack coming in here. There's great timing hitting before Colossus were really all that effective. Time Warp used to defend as best he can. The 3rd base under threat right now. The remainder of Vipro's army is getting obliterated, and there's the GG, and Hope puts one on the board again for Mousesports. Great timing. Wonderful, wonderful timing. Naniwa commented that Vipro was defending the Swedish honor. Unfortunately, it seems that Hope was able to derail that. Actually, never mind. Hope is Swedish too. Swedish honor is intact. Woo! Alright, there you go. Nice one for Mousesports. 1-1 on the board, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out what happens in Game 3. Who does Caronte send out next? Do they bring out the big guns? Perhaps they do. Or do they send out LOL XD? They could send out Soke. That's a possibility. In fact, Soke actually seems really likely there. It depends if they want to send out Lucifron or Vortex so early. Vortex in his EVZ, yeah, pretty good. I'd say Soke, but you never know. Let's find out after this break, folks. Don't go anywhere. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. We are all sorted out. They're all sorted out, and everything is all pasty and wonderful. We will see what happens in this matchup. It's going to be on Whirlwind, and we are about ready to kick it off. So here we go. As predicted, the Mercenary from Caronte, playing for Team Alternate Attacks, subbing in for Caronte in this tournament. In the Blue Trunks, playing Protoss to the northwest, the mighty German. He is Soke. Versus his opponent, the Hope of Mousesports. Taking a game, getting rid of Vipro, now has to deal with another Protoss. Will the same push work twice? More to the point, will Soke even let it? And the Red Trunks playing Zerg. To the northeast, it is Mousesports Hope. Alright. We'll see where this goes. Since we're going to have a little bit of downtime, since Soke is almost assuredly going to do the same opening that we saw there from his team. I say teammate, it's really weird to say that considering he's not actually on Caronte, but he will most likely do either Nexus before Forge or just a straight up Forge Fast Expand here. Anyway, those of you who don't know, they keep asking about this, so I'll remind you on the stream right now. The music that I play in the breaks for the guys watching the live stream, you can find all of that, at least the list of it, over on last.fm/user/TotalBiscuit. That is last.fm/user/TotalBiscuit. I automatically scrobble to that particular site, and a lot of those songs are actually available for streaming as well, because there's a lot of royalty-free stuff, and then there's also a lot of soundtracks from games that I've got permission to use. So, let's see Nexus before Forge here, right here for Soke. But yeah. I think the video game music that we play is one of the nice little highlights of the casts we do here, so I'm always happy to produce more of that. Alright, pool goes down, hatchery down here, and there's the Forge coming up. Obviously, it's a little bit later, but on a map the size of Whirlwind, doesn't really matter that much. I don't expect Hope to be able to get in here, although you never know. There are times when mistakes are made. 6 Lings are coming out. He evidently believes that he can actually push this. It was a Nexus before Forge, and they... Oh, hello. Hello. Look at that. That is a double Extractor cancel right here to get a Queen out and 6 Lings. That's cool. He is definitely going to get aggressive now. He thinks he can actually do something to this, and he's probably not wrong. This is a very wide ramp, and because it was Nexus before Forge, it's pretty early. I mean, this is delayed. This cannon will finish, I think. Yeah, it looks like it will. Ooh, he's avoiding the scout here as well. This is actually super sneaky. I think, again, the cannon's going to finish, but about 3 Lings should get in here. And Soke doesn't actually have a probe here to block this off. This could be devastating. 6 Lings making their run through here. Soke with no probe to actually make the emergency block. Hope will probably lose 3 Lings in this run by, as like that, and then gets 3 Lings into the main. That's totally fine. This could turn out to be disastrous for Soke. We'll see if he can defend against it without losing too many probes. He's obviously going to have to pull stuff off the line. This is already worth it because of the annoying harassment potential. Bringing out a Zealot is really not going to help all that much here either. It's going to come down really to the probe defense and Hope's micro. And he's now droning behind this. Obviously, this is not all in by any stretch of the imagination. It's exploiting a hole. It's exploiting a little bit of greed there. And to be fair, let's be fair to Soke right here. Hope got a little bit lucky because he scouted first. On a map like this, there are 2 other positions it could be in, and hello, what's this? Soke will most likely try and cannon here, I think. That's a sneaky thing to do, try and deny the 3rd with a cannon. I like that a lot. These 3 Lings are still alive. They've only killed 2 probes so far, but that's more than paid for itself. And it's also delayed some mining time as well, so that's really good. Here come the cannons. That's coming down to deny this 3rd base. It's actually out of sight as well. It'll be out of sight until this hatchery finishes and actually gains increased vision range. That could absolutely suck. These Lings are still alive as well. Both of these guys are getting super aggressive. But as I said before, a little bit lucky for Hope to scout that area first. If he hadn't scouted it first, he most likely would not have done what he did, which was to do the double extractor trick to get those Lings and the Queen out. There we go. Cannons are on the field and dealing with Hope right now. This hatchery is going to die. I don't see Hope defending it in any circumstances. These Lings are somehow still alive, which is in itself incredible. And he's actually going to keep all 3 alive again. Looks to try and take down another probe. He can't. I think this is why he finally loses these Lings. But he's kept them alive for ages. He's got a large amount of scouting information. He's been an annoying harassment. But in the process, The response from Soke was to cannon his third, which did take that out quite nicely, and that will die. There's no way of stopping that from happening. That's actually a really big blow. Even a cancellation would have been better, but that was a straight-up kill. Immediately after that, we're seeing Lair coming out, and we're seeing 2 gas. There's 2 gas there, and we also see 2 gas there. So most likely going to be a 2-base Mutalisk play coming out here from Hope. When you get that much gas at this particular timing, that is generally what you're doing. But it could be something else. Could be something else. We'll see. Mutas seem like a good idea, though, here. Obviously, well, Roach is coming down, so maybe not. Roach 1, of course, doesn't cost any gas, so we may just be building that defensively. We'll see. But as I say, it wouldn't surprise me to see Mutalisk play at this stage. It does make a lot of sense. Alright, Scouting Phoenix is on the way. It's hallucinated. The layer is actually down the bottom there, so that's going to delay the information just a little bit. Soke can't really... It's not like Soke's actually going to lose this Phoenix. That can't really happen. There's nothing really to shoot it down. He spots that. He spots all 4 gas. He spots to the Roach Warren and double Evo chambers, though, which is going to really weird him out. This also, the double Evo chambers makes me think this is not going to be a Spire play. And there we go. Roaches and Roach speed, so it's definitely not going to be a Spire play. There's no way. So he's going to make a big Roach play instead on 4 gas with double upgrades. Cool. All right. That works for me. Missile attack upgrades and ground carapace coming in. He'll probably follow this up with Hydras, play that build that he preferred earlier. Admittedly, he's going to do it on 2 bases and not 3, which makes it a little bit more messy, which is why I think maybe he just goes for a big Roach Wrecking Ball at this point. No Baneling Nest, so we're not going to see any kind of crazy bust coming out from him. These Lings are still slow, but that has just been resolved. His cannons are going to be annoying to take down. With good Roach Micro, should be able to kill it without actually losing anything. In the meantime, Soke showing no signs of expanding as of yet. I mean, he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to take a 3rd base. His opponent's only on 2 and can't really take a 3rd yet. So things have been delayed. What he does need to do is get his tech up and make sure he's ready to deal with some counterattacks. Down come the force fields, and they were pretty good as well. They actually allow this force to get out of there for the moment. He will be able to recall, but he doesn't really want to waste the energy. Oh, yes, he does. In that position, he had no other option. It's either that, what do you waste? Do you waste the Sentry energy, or do you waste the Mothership Core energy? In this case, the Mothership Core makes more sense. So he recalls out of there without taking too much damage. Immortals, and we're going to be seeing Colossus coming out here very shortly as well, unless it's some weird Speed Warp Prism play, which is unlikely. Pylon's going to get knocked down, which is going to shut these cannons down quite handily, and it's also going to supply block Soke. That's going to be alleviated in a couple of seconds, though, and the 3rd finally goes down here as well. Hydra Den, follow-up. Once he's able to get all 6 gas, he'll be able to pump Hydras at a good rate while keeping up with his double upgrades. I like that a lot. Now we've got the Forge working on +2 here. Upgrades-wise, Soke is slightly in the lead, but he won't be for long. Once these 1-1s finish and he starts his 2-2, things are going to be good for him. There's the Hydra speed, so we're going to be seeing that big Roach Hydralisk push. This time it actually has more Roaches in it than it did last time, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. Colossi still not on the field. To be honest, though, I mean, with the Immortal in play, maybe Hydras would have actually... More Hydras would have been better, but I guess on 2 bases, you don't really have the option to do that. You got to build more Roaches because you don't have the gas, and those force fields are flat out failed in every possible way. Hope was able to get through there and do a lot of damage with those Roaches. That should not have happened. Soke with the slip-up. This Roach force has done way more damage than it should have. He actually may... Oh, wow. If he sniped that upgrade, that would actually be massive, but he doesn't look like he's going to be able to do that. But that was great. That was a great engagement from Hope. Absolutely wonderful. He should be happy with that. That did exactly what it needed to do. He killed the Immortal as well, which is wonderful, so he can keep reinforcing Roaches and not be too worried about them getting blasted to pieces. And now he's got Lings and Hydralisks in the army. His 1-1's finished. If he can hit before +2 hits, he's going to have an upgrade advantage. Blink is about to finish as well. Not a lot of Stalkers. I mean, there's not a lot of anything, really, for Soke here. 30 supply lead here for Hope. No harassment potential for Soke either, so he's going to play defensively. Admittedly, that's what Soke likes to do anyway, so... We'll see. Another 11 drones following this up. Power in the macro behind this for Hope. Hope's in a really great spot right now. There is one Colossus, but there is no speed. That is a crazy late-game Spire right there, but again, you can use it for Corruptors, but here it comes. Lings coming in right now. Roach is engaging against the front line. There is not a lot of beef at the front to actually deal with this. The Hydras are able to get a reasonable flank on the side. They don't have Hydra range, so they are getting kind of caught out a little bit here. Hope's engagement arc is not ideal. Soke trying to hold on here, and this Colossus is proven to be super useful. At least it was until it died horribly, and Hope is going to break the front here with this Hydralisk army. Can he bring in any more? Oh, he can't bring in any more forces. His reinforcements are just not there, so I guess he has to pull back rather than keep committing to this. Soke now with the Blink Stalkers, I suppose, is able to fend that off, and +2 is finished too as well. So, still, units loss-wise, Soke has lost more, which is very uncharacteristic. Soke is usually the guy to play super efficiently. Not able to do that. Not able to harass. He's going to take his third. He's going to bring a Warp Prism into play. He's going to start to try and harass. I would imagine he's going to hit the main with this. Of course, the third is potentially vulnerable as well. The one thing that Hope doesn't have is any static defense to help him out here. So he has to be a little bit careful if he pushes across the map again with another Roach Hydralisk army with 2-2, which is what I would think he would. But to be honest, since he's building the Spire, I don't know. So what does he do with the Spire? Usually this will be for Corruptors. Admittedly, Corruptors are falling out of favor if you want to go Hive, because Abduct is just so much better. That Overseer is a hero. It spotted the Warp Prism so far away. This Warp Prism doing damage really isn't a possibility. There is, even if there was a Dark Shrine, which there isn't, then it's going to be spotted almost immediately. Zealot run by completely shut down here on the third base by Hope. It just isn't going to do anything. It's going to be spotted immediately. In fact, the Corruptors that are coming out are just going to kill it. So this Warp Prism harass is not going to work in any way. Adding some Corruptors into the field. Doesn't want to build too many. For obvious reasons. They just kill Colossus and then they really don't do anything else. It's not like you're going up against Terran where at least you can hit the Medivacs as well. Hope just building this big Roach Hydralisk army. His 2-2 is done. And that means that Soke is behind in upgrades. Soke doesn't actually have any ground armor upgrades yet, which is a big deal. Big Roach force against a lot of Zealots, even Stalkers, is going to make a lot of difference. Corruptor's trying to engage against this Warp Prism, but he only sends a single one in, so he doesn't kill it. He drives it away for the time being, and he says, hey, look, I've got Corruptors, and you can't go in there with a Warp Prism. It's too risky. And that Overseer is going to keep an eye on it. Big Roach Hydralisk forces moving in. Let's look at army supply. It's massively in favor of Hope right now. 183 to 125 army. Soke is dealing with only being on a single Colossus. The second one will finish, but there are so many units coming out here for Hope. This Roach Hydra composition works absolutely fine. And with Corruptors in the mix as well, the Colossus are going to die much faster than they would otherwise. Lings move in and are able to find the position of his opponent. And I was going to say that's a Warp Prism drop, but it's not. It's actually just a hallucinated Phoenix doing nothing whatsoever. And Hope needs to look to engage right now. He is maxed. Now is the time to hit him. And he's going to just walk straight into the natural. There we go. In the meantime, he is then going to wait for the rest of this army, and he's going to surround it. In come the Corruption spells. He's able to actually hit the Colossus that are caught in a really awful spot. One Colossus goes down, second one coming in as well. Can Soke actually hold on here? He plummets below 100 supply. It's very unlikely. Hope is battering down the front door. Reinforcements streaming across the map. More Roaches. These Corruptors now realizing that all they have to do is spectate this fight, and Soke relying on Blink Stalkers alone to try and hold on here. That Forge isn't going to finish its +3. That's a huge deal. These Hydras wrecking their way through the Gateway Force. Superior upgrades mean that Hope's army just does not die. Corruption. Oh, the clutch Corruption comes down. No Colossus coming for you, sir. Not at all. Hope makes his way into the natural. There's the GG, and Hope is on fire. Please don't send any more Protoss against this guy. It's horrible to watch. It really is. Corante doesn't actually have any more, so I guess that won't be too much of a risk. Oh man, it is time. It's time to send out one of the big hitters. Do you ZVZ him with Vortex? Do you send out Lucifron? Or do you even risk LOL versus XD here? Which I wouldn't. This is not a good position for Corante to be in. I think you've got to send out a heavy hitter in this position. The question is, who do you send out? Which of the Duran brothers do you send in the direction of Mousesports Hope? We'll find out after this break, folks. Don't go anywhere. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the next matchup? And we thought one of the heavy hitters was going out for Corante, and we were absolutely right. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is the man himself. The guy that most people believe is currently the best Terran in Europe, arguably the best foreign Terran. In the Blue Trunks are playing a Terran to the southeast of Star Station. It is Corante's Lucifron. Versus his opponent, the guy who has picked up 2 kills already for his team. Really great start, taking out 2 strong Protoss opponents, now must face up against the Terran Terror from Spain. Representing Sweden and Mousesports, in the Red Trunks playing Zerg to the northwest, it is Hope. Alright, well, so Lucifron has a bit of a reputation to uphold in these team leagues. He tends to almost all kill. In fact, in some cases he kind of does, if you were to just count players. Like, for instance, Lucifron killed Hyun twice in their match against Quantic before Hyun was sent out a 3rd time and finally managed to beat him. So technically, he killed every player that they sent out. But in this tournament, you can resurrect players for ace matches and so on and so forth. So, a little bit different. Hope being nice and mana there. As Lucifron asks, is it just cross position? It is, on this particular version. Gas coming down pretty early here for Lucifron. And a quick expansion, of course, for Hope. Now, Lucifron's builds, from what we've seen in this tournament, are very reliant on Hellbat drops. They're very effective, and he's very good at them. He'll open up with a Reaper, and then he'll go for a Hellbat drop. He does tend to delay his natural as a result of this, but he has several variants of his Hellbat drop. Some are a bit more economical, but they hit later. Some are very aggressive, and they hit earlier. So we will see. It may be that he's changed things up. The problem with Lucifron using the same build all the time is that people will take it apart. These replays for this tournament are publicly available, which means you can analyze the hell out of him. So this means this tournament shifts a lot in terms of its actual strategies being employed, because you can use take command, you can use replays to determine exactly what your opponent's strategy is, and then you can prepare accordingly. So I would imagine Hope was expecting Lucifron to come out, so he'll be looking to try and deal with this. Now, this Reaper opening is annoying to deal with for Zerg because they can't actually do anything. This is... There we go. This is one of those situations where the Terran player basically is going to get some kills, and it really is up to the Terran player to mess up rather than the Zerg player to actually defend it. It's very, very hard to defend it. Like, Lings are not fast enough. Basically, you can do damage until the Queens come out, right? And in this case, the Lings popped out in a lucky position. Oh, I was going to say, what the hell is he doing? Then I realized he's making a Spore Crawler with that injured drone so that it won't get killed by the Reaper. That is cool. I like that. So far, only one drone has been killed by this double Reaper attack. If they can keep it at that, then I would say that's a win for Hope, because that's a lot of Reapers. Queens are now on the field. So, oh, nice interception. Really nice interception. Lucifron is slow on the uptake right there, and he isn't able to take a Ling out, and Lucifron might actually decide, you know what, this isn't worth it anymore. That said, consider this. Consider this. This is actually a very economical Reaper opening, and the reason that it is because he forced a ton of Lings out of his opponent. Hope built 10 Lings. And yes, he saved his drones, but he didn't build drones. That's the thing. He has fewer drones as a result of building all the Zerglings. So, in theory, even if you don't do a lot of damage with this, it's still pretty cool. And Lucifron actually expanded behind it, and is now... He's actually at an economic lead slightly because he has one less SCV, but he has mules. So he is doing pretty well there. Lings now making their way across the map. Very early speed here for Hope. Obviously, you need to take that at this stage in the matchup. There's a lot of Lings available, and there's really not a lot to defend this, but these Hellions plus this bunker should be absolutely fine. As long as Hope doesn't actually go up. Nah, he's just leaving immediately. There is only actually 2 Reapers in that bunker, which isn't going to do a thing. So, funnily enough, I think he could have actually made his way in there, but with the 2 Hellions, probably not worth it. He just scouts, checks that there's expansion there, and then moves back. Okay, no armory coming out here yet for Lucifron. He's actually going for the 3cc build, which is nice and greedy. Obviously a build which is being played a lot by Flash lately, and it's working very, very well, but a lot of other Terrans are adopting it as well, or making their own little variants of it. It's super greedy. It forces the Zerg to take an early third and then arguably even a 4th base to try and keep up with the economy of the Terran, and then the economy just goes for this... The Terran just goes for this 3-base power push with a huge amount of economy. It's actually crazy. It's very, very good indeed. The risk, of course, is that you get hit, but the question is with what? Hope doesn't actually have anything to hit him with. He's just building Lings. He's focusing on his economy right now. He's also building some static defense, which I like. I think it's a case of saying, oh, well, you know, he might actually use Hellbats on me. He might drop me. It turns out that Lucifron's actually doing nothing of the sort this time. He's building Widow Mines. I don't believe he has a starport yet. No, he doesn't. He's showing no signs of building one. He's focusing on double upgrades, so he's going to be playing a very bio-heavy style. And he is, I suppose, defying the expectations of some people. So it's like, oh, where's your next Hellbat drop? Well, it's not actually going to happen. Hope pushing forward, 4 Queens, and good creep spread thus far, trying to secure his 3rd base and doing a little bit of damage to the Hellions here. There are a couple of Widow Mines in play as well. Currently, they're in a defensive position, and there's no way to drop them. He could decide to move them across the map. Can be pretty irritating, but that's kind of like rolling the dice and expecting to try and get a 20 on a 20-sided. It's a case of, can you really put them in a position where the Zerg's actually going to hit them in numbers and not reveal them? That's the risk. A lot of people say there's no cost-inefficient Widow Mine. It's actually completely untrue. There really is. There's loads of examples of that, especially against Zerg. Zerg do tend to send out scouting Lings, and if you find out where the Widow Mines are, and then you detect them and you kill them with the loss of only 1 Ling, that's a definite win for you. Right now, there's only 2 Widow Mines on the field. There's going to be 2 more in a second. Lucifron just powering out as many barracks, upgrades, and SCVs as possible. He does take his 3rd base now. And this puts Hope in a really awkward spot, who's now building a Baneling nest, redeploying a little bit of static defense. There are no drops happening whatsoever. Hope's still on 3 bases, but the economy of Lucifron is actually better because he has triple Mule and he has triple SCV production. So, especially if Hope starts building units right now, Lucifron is going to take the lead in terms of his economy, I would think. A big drone swell here from Hope once again, who play like Rhett used to, honestly. And it seems to work pretty well, especially when his opponent has no intention of attacking him anytime soon. The Widow Mines go down, and as I say, 2 Widow Mines pop off, and I mean, they don't do a lot. This is what I'm talking about, these cost-inefficient Widow Mines. 4 Widow Mines pop off to kill 4 Lings. Obviously, the defense works out, but it also reveals a large amount of Widow Mines in that area, so Hope's going to be a little bit more careful. Armory's coming down right now, and bearing in mind we have a double engineering bay, this is almost, well, that is almost assuredly for upgrades and not for Hellbats. He may decide to mix some Hellbats in, but again, when you've got like 2-2 bio and then 0-0 Hellbats, it's really weird. So, some players like to do it, some players don't. We'll see. More Lings coming around, and he's going to try and take down the 3rd base. He now knows, of course, that the Widow Mines are here and not here. So he can actually do a run-by directly into this mineral line and do some damage. That's exactly what he's doing, going straight for the mules here. Going to take down 1. That one was almost dead anyway, so, you know, he literally had 1 day left till retirement. He won't be getting his gold watch anytime soon. A little bit of economic harassment, not huge. Couple of workers killed here and there, but it also reveals there's no minefield there, which means that a larger Ling attack on that army could be effective. It may also allow Hope to actually tech behind it, maybe even take a 4th base. Lings moving across the map to gain map controls. I mean, there's a lot of Lings, 62. It's actually a huge amount of Lings. Good lord. Ooh, Lucifron almost lets him in there. And here comes the big run-by. I wonder, actually, if Hope builds Banelings behind this. He has the ability to do that. He doesn't have Baneling speed as of yet. This Ling run-by is effective by the looks of it. Kills a few SCVs here and there. Probably not as many as he was hoping for. Ooh, Widow Mine detonation goes off there and actually ends up killing a Hellion, which is unfortunate. Only 5 workers killed up to this point, so Lucifron's probably pretty comfortable with that. He does have the economic lead now. So I think, really, like, if Hope really wants to do damage there, he's got to hit them with Banelings. And he hasn't morphed any yet. He does have the option. He's got Baneling speed, and he's working on 2-2 as well. Lucifron is slightly ahead upgrades-wise, but of course, like, upgrades don't make that much difference to Banelings. The Spire is on the way as well, so what Hope can try and do here is take advantage of the fact that Lucifron is playing a very defensive style across 3 bases and try and strike at some different targets. There is some static defense available. Might work out. Lucifron with a nice little push here just to knock down a few creep tumors. And he killed a ton of them, actually, so this is really, really great for him. And Lucifron can just leave now. He doesn't really have to worry. He actually is going to try and kill Queen, and Hope is going to let that happen, because he actually had transfer. What? Whoa, 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 whoa! That shouldn't have happened. 3 Queens going down. Totally worth it for the cost of those Marines, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, that really shouldn't have happened at all. In the meantime, this Reaper makes his way in, just being generally annoying. It's not going to do anything, but... yeah, losing 3 Queens was actually kind of silly. I don't think that was really necessary at all. Hope could have transfused there. I don't think he was really on the ball. Also, it's going to limit his creep spread, especially considering he lost a ton of creep tumors here. His creep spread's really good as well. He's spreading towards the 3rd base, and losing those queens is actually going to make a big difference. Ling Baneling style coming out with Mutalisk, so very classic style, very aggressive style from our Zerg player here. In the meantime, Lucifron's actually building Drilling Claws, so he's going to play Biomine. He's going to build a lot of mines, he's going to be borrowing them in the middle of fights, and he's going to hope that they do huge damage, which they will. But the question is to who? To who do they do huge damage? There are big risks with this style. It's a double-edged sword. You can take a lot of damage from it. SCVs are currently unmolested, and Hope, on the other hand, establishing this 4th base and moving in with a big force of Ling and Muta. He's currently... I wouldn't say he's ahead on economy, but he's pretty equal with Lucifron. Lucifron actually has 14 Widow Mines right now, which is ridiculous. He's about to have 16 as well. And Lings make their way in once again. Slow response here from Lucifron, not defending this area with Widow Mines, which is kind of weird, considering he's definitely got enough for it. Now, the question is, do we see Widow Mine drops coming out right here from Lucifron, or does he play that big, aggressive Biomine posture? I mean, it's a possibility, certainly. Just going forward with the mines, with Drilling Claws, borrowing them, there you go, and that's what I'm talking about right here. With this many mines, it can be difficult, it depends. He's setting a lot of Lings around to try and detonate as many mines as possible, but there are so many mines that it's going to take quite a while to do. That was a big hit right there for Lucifron, and Mutalisks take a huge amount of damage there. Baneling's now moving in, but Lucifron is deliberately drawing them into the Widow Mines, and this is not going to work out at all for Hope. He takes a lot of damage, but the second wave comes in, and he should have enough to clear this up. Oh, Lucifron's so slow on the evacuation there, loses a ton of units, and takes a big hit. So let me just take that back. It did work very well. That was only the first wave of Banelings. Hope had a second one. He knew that the Widowmines were in play, and now there's like 14, 15 Widowmines just died. The Mind Force of his opponent is much, much smaller. A lot more Banelings coming in as well. Lucifron struggling against this style. This is very life-esque, actually, and I think a lot of Zergs are going down this particular route as a method of dealing with Terran. And the funny thing about Lucifron right now is he's not able to actually get drop aggressive. There's too many mutas on the field. They're controlling the map too well. And the Lings are dealing with the Widowmines quite nicely. So Lucifron's sort of relying on a lucky Widowmine hit, which is almost like relying on a lucky nuke. But, yeah, that was... wow. He actually picked that off without a detonating. That requires an obscene amount of control with Mutalisks. It really, really does. Quick evacuation right there as Hope's army streams forward once again. Big engagement going to happen. Looking for the Lynx around. Evacuation's got to happen here, surely, but the Mutalisks are also working on these medevacs, and Lucifron is getting pushed back so much. Detonation goes off, but honestly, it hits more Marines than anything else, and that's the big risk with double-edged sword of Widowmines. The Banelings clean up this entire army now, and the Mutalisk count is so high. Lings continuing to stream across the map. This third base under grave threat. Hope is playing so well today. Good God. This is insane. Loving this right here from Hope. The Lucifron is being made to look like an amateur, which is absurd because he's so good. But Hope is playing so much better. This style is great. The third base just got gutted and denied. 32 workers killed. A huge economic blow here to Lucifron. He's behind in supply. He's behind in tech. 3-3 has just started with Adrenal Glands. This Baneling Muta style, it might be old, but it's super effective. The Mutas are doing a great job of denying drops. The map awareness here for Hope is phenomenal. Oh, that micro was the control from Hope as well, saving that Muta as well. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it right now. I couldn't be loving it more if it was McDonald's. But right now, Hope is in a great spot. All right, here he goes. 91 Mutalisks. It's a lot of 91 Mutalisks. What? No. 91 Lings. And attack speed upgrade. It's dangerous. Another Ling run-by comes in. This is crucial. Lucifron must hold this base. And the question is with what? Ling's now attacking at the front. Getting an idea of where the Widowmines are. Widowmines currently unburrowed, but with Drilling Claws doesn't make much of a difference. And trying to pick one off. Doesn't quite get it. Unfortunate. Shame. If it actually had +2, that would have killed it. But it happens. Ling's now making their way around here. And once again, Lucifron has to rely on these mines, but Hope is just too quick. He's trying to detonate them. Bear in mind, mines take a second and a half to lock on. So sending in one Ling every now and again is not actually that great because they don't usually stay alive long enough for that to make a difference. Oh, those mutas got to watch out. Still got plenty of Banelings in the composition here. Lucifron doesn't move at all. Eats it completely. Relying on the mines again. That obliterates a lot of those Lings and Banelings. Lucifron's starting to catch up. A good defense, but a Ling run-by came around the side as well. Killed yet more workers. And this area is starting to get mined out. Half of these patches are pretty much done. And Hope is sitting on 5 bases now. And Lucifron can't touch him. Now the Ultralisk transition comes in with the 3-3. This is the death blow, potentially, for any Terran that doesn't have what he needs to deal with it. A big Marauder-heavy composition is starting to come out from Lucifron because he knows what's coming. But building Marauders against Ling Baneling, the Lings just rip them to pieces. They're not that great at DPS. They're awesome for absorbing Baneling hits, but it really all comes down to the control and the positioning of your army. These Mutalisks have proven to be great, and finally, they get a delicious dessert. And are able to take out the mineral line at the third base. Very, very dangerous. Takes down, yeah, more workers. Harasses here, takes this orbital down to half. Like, he could just Baneling bust that orbital right now and kill it. And into the main he goes. That's no gas mining for you, I'm afraid. We're going to see some lost add-ons here and reinforcements cut off as well. There are so many mutas on the field right now that it's difficult to deal with. And this Marauder-heavy composition is obviously useless against these Mutalisks. Hope is playing this absolutely perfectly. Lucifron is really struggling to stay on the board here. And now the Lings come in. 3-3 is about to finish. That is a timing and a half. 3-3 Adrenal Lings with Banelings and Mutalisks and everything. The minefield is going to go off and probably kill the majority of the Terran force, and it does. That minefield not proving to be useful at all, and we're seeing very rapidly how dangerous Widowmines can really be to you. Ultralisks will follow this up. The Marauder count is plummeting. This third base is about to die. It is just saved there by Lucifron. Once again, a great defense, but he is so far behind in supply, and he now has to deal with Ultras. And with only 10 Marauders, it's a tricky prospect. Can be done, but it's difficult. Ultras now rolling out Lings and Banelings to reinforce. No Infestors to help stick in position, but with enough Lings that pretty much acts like fungal anyway. This fourth base is trying to be established by Lucifron, and I have a feeling that he's going to have difficulty dealing with it. Off go the Widowmines. Can he kill these Ultralisks? Can Lucifron hold on here? Ultra's trying to barrel their way through, but they're not in a good position at all. And Lucifron is defending incredibly efficiently against this. What a great move. Lucifron spread out perfectly there with a great concave and was able to handle those Ultras. But wave after wave of attacks is coming. Infestors are now being added on to the mix because his opponent knows, oh yeah, I'm going to have to deal with this, aren't I? These guys are kiting me so well. Lucifron is on the ball in terms of his kiting. He's knocking down Ultralisk after Ultralisk. And bear in mind, these Ultras do not have plating, and that is a big deal. So the Ultras are dying way faster than you would expect. You know, I don't usually go for this little phrase by Destiny, but if you're really ahead and want to... I don't even know what it was. It was like paraphrasing. If you're ahead and want to lose, build Ultralisks. Well, unfortunately, that's currently happening, and Lucifron's actually caught up quite significantly here. Let me not overestimate his capability, though. He is still dealing with the fact that he is against a 5-base Zerg with great upgrades and total control, but he has 4 bases. To be fair, though, he only has 1 real mining base. This is about to be mined out. This got mule drained so quickly, so actually he's only really got 1 3/4 bases mining versus his opponent who is mining off of 3. So this is kind of a big deal. Infestors now being added into the composition. Another Ling run by hits, and there's no way to defend it. And I think this is going to be the real problem now for Lucifron. He needs to keep his armies together in order to defend against Ultralisks, but that makes him very vulnerable to Ling run bys. So Lings are going to get into things like the Natural, and with 3-3 and Adrenal Glands, they're going to kill SCVs very quickly. 53 workers killed in total, 42 workers versus 73 here. Still no sign by Lucifron that he is willing to commit to a drop. Trying to burn that orbital command as best he can. He can't kill it yet, but this is the next push that is being prepared. The thing is, Lucifron actually has a big army now. He's been able to reinforce. His macro has been going absolutely haywire. He's been dropping mules on this planetary fortress base right here to reinforce. He's building a lot of Marines and Marauders. Maybe that's not such a great idea against the Infestors. He hasn't really seen the Infestors yet, so who knows? Scouting coming on for Lucifron right here, but here comes another big push from Hope. As I said, Hope did not engage well. Lucifron defended very well. If Lucifron defends this efficiently, maybe he can stage a counterattack. Maybe he can get back into this game. Now with these 4 bases established, that's pretty cool. Creep spread is not that great, especially going into this 4th base. A bunch of Banelings actually detonate there. Oh no, the worker line! The worker line! The worker line is dead, as is the 4th base, and Hope can actually just back off here. Oh, but he gets the fungal, and it's massive! It is absolutely huge. The Ultralisks are going to obliterate this army right now. There are no Banelings to help out, and the Queens are actually really, really slow here, so the efficiency is not good for Hope, but I don't think it's going to matter. With this many units, he comes through, and there's the GG, and Hope. 3 kills. Unbelievable against Caronte. Lucifron gets torn to pieces by a Zerg player here. Sweden fighting right now. Who the heck do you send against this guy now? Do you resurrect Lucifron and send him in again? Or do you send Vortex for a ZVZ? Maybe that's what you do. But one way or the other, Mousesports is going to be really happy about Hope's performance today. This has been phenomenal. Let's see if he can keep it up. Will we actually see an all-kill coming in by Hope here? Maybe we will. He is well on the way to it. We'll be right back, folks. Don't go anywhere.